the next time you're kneading flour, please do not add any yeast or baking powder. It has risen enough. Well, okay, I understand that it may not be that much of a laughing matter when many of us go to the grocery whenever next we do in Trinidad and Tobago, because flour is on the rise again. After raising just at the start of this year, we have just gotten the announcement that our major flour producer, which is our national flour producer, we have a nationalized flour mill. Yes, the state controls it, and we'll get into why that's kind of an important part of this discussion also. And they just announced that they're going to increase the price of flour again. I spoke about this in the live last night, but unfortunately, YouTube was giving a bit of problems, so we didn't get all of it through. So we're going to speak some more about it today. But hit that like button first. Make sure you're subscribed if you are not yet subscribed. And if you feel the urge to say something, feel free to drop that comment, and you can share the video to those who may like this type of content. And let's get into it. NFM to increase flour prices by 33% tomorrow. Now that tomorrow would have been today, Wednesday, or according to when you're looking at this. National Flour Mills today announced that while it has been able to secure sufficient wheat stocks to guarantee that Trinidad and Tobago has an adequate supply of flour for the remainder of 2022, the cost of wheat to NFM has increased by a further 49% in 2022 due to the ongoing war in Ukraine. Now, here's the thing. As I pointed out last night, I will say it again, an important part to look at in this that is crucial is the fact that they have announced they have secured enough wheat to last us for the rest of the year, because there are some places, including in the United States, where there's talk of food shortage. Now, food shortage is something a whole different ball game to just food prices increasing. Food shortage means there isn't the food there, and if the food is not there, things could get a lot scarier. Now, the problem as I see it with this, with the flour here and the prices of the flour, is that it is not something we have much control over. I asked a question over on my Facebook, how could the government have stopped the flour increase? And I found the replies to be telling to some extent. By simply subsidizing the cost to the vulnerable was one answer. And that's one direction that you hear many people talking about, that, you know, the government, they're in control of this. They could just pay the cost. They are able to do that. They're the government. But I think some of that comes without the full understanding and realization of where money comes from. The government does not have an unending supply of resources and money. The reason the government is currently in negotiations with the public sector right now is because they're saying they don't have enough money to pay them how much they want. That's the same government. And the reason we are now paying more for fuel at the pump than we used to before is not just because global prices have gone up, but because the government no longer they say they are no longer able to pay the subsidy at the fuel pumps. So if they cannot pay the subsidies at the fuel pumps, if they cannot pay a salary increase that is due to the public service, if there are multiple debtors that the government owe, many contractors, every week you hear another contractor coming up saying the government owes them. MTS, which is government owned, is also owed money from the government too. So it's a very complicated kind of money matter. If the government seems like they're strapped for cash like that, where are they going to get enough money to subsidize flour for everyone in the country? And in a similar vein to the price control requests that some people are asking for is the increase in minimum wage. The government must increase minimum wage. And I think price control and increasing minimum wage are kind of on the same playing field we're talking about here. Price control is the government goes in there and demands that, listen, you must sell the product for this price. And this is how they can control the inflation all around. You go in and demand that these greedy businessmen do not sell for the kind of high prices they are selling for, and the government goes in and demands that they sell it cheaper. Well, here's the thing. Business people do what they do not out of the goodness of their heart, generally speaking, but to make money. Even if they're doing it partially out of the goodness of their heart, at least part of it is to make money too. And because at least part of it is to make money, if the government gets in and forces them to not make money, they're going to not do it anymore. Price controls have been tried all around the world. Bear in mind, it's not a new concept. Generally, what happens is the goods disappear from the market and then they reappear on the black market where they are, again, no price controls, and then there isn't any kind of regulation at all. So who knows what you're getting out there in the black market? So price controls hardly ever work. If you could control everything, the world would have been perfect a long time ago. You cannot control everything. And then on the flip side of that is increasing the minimum wage, which is grand. I saw someone say the minimum wage should be $25, and I posted on that, why not 100? And they liked that comment. And I don't think they fully understood the irony of it. Why not 1,000? Why not 10,000? If increasing the minimum wage can make us get more money, why not just increase the minimum wage to a beautiful salary for everyone? So everyone would make 100,000 a month and we would all live perfectly. Why not do that? Because it does not work like that. Money isn't the value. Value is value. Money represents value. If you put more money in the system than there is value, you are just going to inflate the cost of everything. The value remains whatever it always was, and the number sign next to the money would change with it. If you want to change that, you got to change the amount of value in the system, the amount of production in the system. That's generally how that side is done. But I am not against the government doing anything just by the way, especially with the nature of how our government already functions. They're already doing so much. I think that's kind of already within their portfolio. So they should be doing something, and I've seen some people talk about stabilizing the costs with subsidies until it can rectify itself. And if I read correctly, it seems to me that is kind of what is going on here. If you read the cost of wheat to NFM, their input cost, their raw material, increased by a further 49%. However, the wholesale increase is only going up by 33%. There's a bit of a disparity there. That's what, 16% difference that they seem to be assimilating already. They are already assimilating some of the cost. They are already buffering some of that cost. And I think that is part of what a government should be doing. The reason you collect taxes from people, etc., it's similar for like an insurance company. It's the purpose of so many of these large organizations, so that if perchance an emergency happens, they have the kind of resources at their disposal to ease the shock. And it seems like that is indeed what is happening, because 49%, while the reciprocal increase to the wholesale market is 33%, and then the recommended increase from the retailers is only 28%. So there is some buffering coming down here. And I believe if you look at the market across the Caribbean, we still have pretty easily the cheapest flour. So in all of this, perspective is key. As so many people are pointing out, this isn't a Trinidad unique kind of thing. This isn't something where we are the only ones facing this kind of situation. Everywhere else in the world, wheat is cheap and plentiful, and they're baking cakes for 1 cent a day, and it's it's a struggle everywhere. So we need to see that in perspective. And then, to me, one of the recommendations I saw coming out in the question I asked on my Facebook, I think that goes more perfectly down the line of how you could kind of rectify these matters on a more long-term basis, because the nature of this situation we are in is we don't have control over it. This is not something we can rectify. Our prime minister cannot send our regiment out to Ukraine to defeat the Russian forces. No, that's just not going to work. That's not how that works. And even if it were, that is not even a promise that the flour is going to automatically start back flowing easily. So it's just not what happens. We don't have control over that situation. However, what we can have control over would be products that can be grown here in Trinidad and Tobago, local products. And we have many starch-rich ground provision style products that can be milled into flour. I saw someone said that one of the ways the government could have tackled this, and many people have been saying this, to be fair, for a very long time now, that the government can invest in the local farmers, allowing them to scale up their businesses so that in fact we would be able to compete on this flour market. Now, interestingly enough, as someone was saying that, I saw that Namdevco Farmers Market came out to announce that they have ground produced flour available in their farmers market. Namdevco promotes sweet potato cassava flour. While wheat-based flour prices have been increased for a second time this year, the public is being reminded that root crop flour options remain available at farmers markets across the country. So yes, Namdevco is saying they have them. The National Agricultural Marketing Development Corporation in turn noted that nutritious composite flours like sweet potato and cassava are on sale weekly at the farmers' markets. In a statement, Namdevco restated its commitment to providing the public with an avenue to acquire local goods and produce at consistent and reasonable prices. It said, our monitoring records indicate consistent quarterly production of 1.15 million kilograms of sweet potatoes and 1.07 million kilograms of cassava, which can be readily convened into root crop flour. This data shows that farmers continue to successfully produce a wide range of root crops despite external factors that can affect production, inclusive of climate change. Namdevco added, we are aware that countries are being faced with limited supplies of wheat flour, which is likely to create an imbalance in the supply and demand of wheat for domestic use. In light of this, Namdevco encourages the use of composite flours made using a ratio of root crop flour and wheat when preparing meals, which are easily accessible and nutritious. In this regard, Namdevco will host a recipe demonstration on the different types of locally produced flour from cassava and sweet potato at the Queen's Park Savannah Farmers Market, Sunday, June 26. So that might be an interesting event to go to. However, I have this question. If we have locally available root flours, is it that the government needs to invest more in these farmers and these processors who are creating these flours? Or is it that the people in Trinidad and Tobago, the citizens, the population, needs to actually go out there and buy the flour, and if they buy out all the flour, then the business person would know, whoever the owner is would know, okay, well, my product is selling, I will increase production. Is it that we need the government getting in on the supply side because we are having a problem with supply? Or is it that we need people getting in and changing their taste side because we are having a problem on the demand side? That's my question on it. Is it the government falling short in this case, or are the people falling short on themselves by choosing to still choose the wheat flour over the local alternatives that are indeed available? Or is it that the pricing is just out of reach for everyday staple use, as people may want, and in such a case, then the government needs to come in to up the supply so that they would be able to drop the price of it? Which one do you think it is? Drop a comment, let me know what you think. That's all I have for now. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained, and I will see you later.